MrTransformers96 here with another review. This time it is a movie review of Iron Man 3, so here you go. So don't do movie reviews very often. Really, I only do them for big movies like superhero movies or like Transformers. Big movies of stuff that typically have toy lines. That's when I do my reviews. And yeah, so if you're watching this looking for a good review of the movie, wouldn't recommend it. This is mostly just for the people who watch my toy reviews. And if you're just curious of my thoughts on the movie, that's why I make these things. So I'm definitely not a movie reviewer, but yeah. So first of all, I saw Iron Man, yesterday, which was the second. Yeah, it was the second, which was a Thursday, which was nice. And here's my little badge that I got. I'll have to just move it back. There we go. Iron Man Ultimate Marathon, May 2nd, Tarkin Theaters, and it came in a little lanyard, which was really awesome. So yes, I did get to do the marathon. So that means I saw Iron Man 1, Iron Man 2, The Avengers in 3D, and then Iron Man 3 in 3D, which was really awesome. Watching the first three, it was just killing me because I just wanted to watch the last one. I was so excited. The last one started, and yeah. So there was a couple things I did like about it. Let me just go into those first. First of all, it starts off. Oh, this is very spoiler heavy, So don't watch it if you don't want to see the spoilers. I'll definitely put that in the title though. But it starts off with Tony Stark just doing a little monologue, and he talks about back in like 1988, I think that's what the year was, where he meets like McKillen and or just Killen, Adrich Killen. I can't remember how you say his name, and where he actually met Jensen there, which was really cool. I really love that. So when that scene came up, I really got into the movie because I thought that was so neat that they had that in there. Because if you don't remember, in the first movie, Jensen, the person that he was in the cave with, he did say that they met before once at some kind of like conference or something. So it was really cool to see them actually meet. Thought that was awesome. Great cameo and just well done. I really did like that a lot. And then the next thing that I liked, Iron Man, Tony Stark's struggle within himself. He's not so perfect. I thought that in the second movie, of course, the thing is killing him, so he's got to figure out a way to stop that. But him personally, he's pretty perfect. I mean, he's rich. He's he's got all the armors, and he's got a great life, a really strong personality and everything. So we never really see him like really low, except for the first movie when he was in the cave. So it was really neat to see him kind of like that again, really struggling with himself, having anxiety over what happened in the Avengers, and really just being kind of torn up about that, which was really awesome. Really love that. And because he is so distraught, he is of course just occupying his mind with work, just making armors and armors and armors, just so that he doesn't have to think about what happened, which is a great idea. I actually really love that, and I think that like when the first the first drafts of these scripts came out, it probably sounded awesome, and then it got a little diluted as the movie went on. First of all, the humor in the movie, I felt like it had a lot more than usual, which really kind of sucks. I do really enjoy the humor when it's done, cleverly, and it's put in nice. Like Iron Man 1 was great because it did have humor, which was really awesome to see his personality, because he's a very funny person. And in like the Avengers, they had it great. But the thing was, like in Avengers, they'd have their serious moments, and then they'd do some comedy relief, which is what you're supposed to do. This movie would put the humor in the serious moments. They were really just trying to like make a comedy. I felt like instead of watching a superhero movie with a little bit of comedy in it, I felt like I was watching a comedy with a little bit of a superhero in it. It almost seemed like, and I know this is pretty extreme, but it seemed like a spoof that I was watching, just like, like Scary Movie 5, that type of thing, where they just make fun of another movie. It kind of felt like that because, let me just go into my biggest gripe about this movie, which I think is the biggest gripe for a lot of people, is the Mandarin. In the trailers and everything, they display him as such a cool person, just this, really big terrorist guy, the leader of the Ten Rings, which is awesome. I thought the Ten Rings was great because it's like a tie-in to the first movie, but the thing is, they don't even like make a reference that the Ten Rings are the terrorists that captured Tony Stark. They don't go into that at all. So the terrorist organization could have been just named, whatever. It doesn't matter. They didn't like tie anything in, and I thought that they definitely would, and I thought that would be cool, but they didn't. And of course, the Mandarin, he's just an actor. He's just a drunken kind of actor that McKillen or Killen, I don't know how you say his name, that he hired to betray this terrorist so that the government would be trying to hunt down this fake person, which is actually a pretty good idea and everything, but it really just killed it. I mean, any big Mandarin fan, anybody that was excited for the villain is just gonna really get disappointed. My heart sank when I saw him in the movie, when we realized that he was not when he was not like the real villain. And these are elements that make me think that this is like a spoof, because like in like a spoof movie, you could totally see this happening. I mean, like there's this terrorist guy, and then he comes out of a bathroom, and he's all just a drunk and just like that. I mean, it totally seemed to like it wasn't even happening. I just took a double take in my mind, like, is this really happening? It was just so bizarre, so stupid, and just so meant purely for the comedy. They could have easily, if they needed this to happen in a movie, they could have easily just had, McClellan hire a low-level terrorist, so he's still a bad guy, he's still got the power that you think he does, but he's more of just a front man. So then they kind of transition and kind of explain that he's more of just a front man, and that he's not, he's not really the big threat here, he was just meant to look like the threat, so that the Mandarin still withheld his, dignity. He'd still be cool in the eyes of fans, but then they could have switched the, they could have positioned in the new villain, which they did in the movie, but instead they went to decide to go just humiliate the Mandarin's character, just absolutely destroy him just for the fact to get a couple of laughs, because they could have easily went the other route and still accomplish the same thing with transitioning the villain and still keeping a respectable Mandarin, and that would have worked great. Although I would have rather just had him be the main villain, and that's the end of it. Still, they didn't. So huge disappointment. I really hate the director of this movie now. I am really quite furious in the choice of this, and I think a lot of people are. I will put a link probably up on the screen or in the description of Jeremy John's spoiler review, which he pretty much just talks about this Mandarin choice, because I think that he does a great job discussing it and saying why it was such a bad decision. So I'll definitely put some links up. Next thing, the Extremis program. So first of all, Kellen, he works for AIM, which I think was really cool that they're introducing AIM, which is a big organization in the Marvel Comics, but they really didn't have any AIM-ish stuff. I don't know. I didn't there aren't any guards that were in yellow suits or just anything that resembles anything about AIM. There were no hints at MODOK, nothing like that, which, that's not a huge gripe, but it's just something that I'm not too great with. But the whole Extremis, how do you want to say it? The whole Extremis, portion of this movie and the idea is just stupid in my mind, because, I mean, it didn't make sense, because this was a formula that was meant to, regrow limbs and help, soldiers that have been hurt in wars and everything. So that's a neat concept. I mean, that could totally, work and everything, but I don't understand how a formula that's meant to regrow limbs turns you into a lava monster. What the hell? I have no idea who came up with that. Taking on the lizard from Amazing Spider-Man. It made sense, because he took the DNA to get the formula from a lizard, because they can regrow limbs, and it made sense. Of course, it's not realistic, but it still made sense. It was grounded in science that he would be a lizard guy. So these people just turning into lava monsters that can spew lava out of their mouth and burn people by touching them was so stupid in my mind. I have no idea who came up with that, who thought that was a good idea, who thought that was a smart idea, and who thought that would be okay with anybody in the audience. I have no idea. This movie was so far-fetched, it's not even funny. The first two, especially the first one, were very grounded in reality, which is what you need to do one of these superhero movies. You need movies that have a base at reality, and this one just really didn't. Because any point that they could have put some reality in, they traded it for humor, which was a shame, and then the concept and the villains were horrible. I mean, the Mandarin was awesome in the beginning. When I was watching this movie, I went, well, I'm not really liking this movie right now, but the Mandarin, he's still awesome, so I'm really happy about that. When I do my review, I'm going to say how great the Mandarin is and everything, and then, 20 minutes later, the Mandarin falls to pieces on everybody in the audience, and then that's the end of that. So just horrible. Potts, she takes the Extremis thing, which I think is like far-fetched, and she falls in the fire, and she ends up kind of defeating the bad guy at the end, which just, I just didn't like that. I don't know, it just felt really weird. I'm glad that she's taking more of a role in these movies, but it just seemed a little odd. The Mark 42, that was an interesting armor. I like the idea that the pieces come and kind of fly onto him. I think it's very far-fetched, but it is still grounded in reality, which is what the other stuff needed to be, and it wasn't. So, I still like that. The only thing is that whenever this thing got hit, it would just burst into 1,000 pieces. I don't know how he was planning on, like, actually getting into this armor and fighting somebody, because if they punched him once, he just burst into 1,000 pieces. It was just stupid. And this armor, you think that he's gonna fight in this armor at the end of the movie. The armor comes and he's like, oh, the prodigal son returns. I think he said something like that. And then the armor just smashes into like a little railing, and just the whole thing just blows up. I mean, it's supposed to be funny, I guess. I don't know, it was stupid. I didn't feel like this was an Iron Man movie, because Iron Man was barely in it, which I don't, you know, I'm not going to hate on the movie because of that. I understand if they want to make it more of a Tony Stark, you know, struggling personally kind of movie, but they was just done so unwell. The kid in the movie, he wasn't horrible. I think that the way that the kid and Tony Stark kind of reacted together was kind of neat. It was interesting, and it was funny, but it was still nice. I just felt like I'd rather see Tony Stark go through this personal, you know, problems alone, and not with some kid that, you know, will introduce humor. I would have rather just had him struggle with his inner demons, you know, instead of alcoholism like it is in the comics, being, you know, the stress and the anxiety over what happened to the Avengers. I would have much rather saw him do that, go through that alone instead of getting help with the kid. But that's not a big problem. I understand why they did it. What else we got? The armors. His vault of armors, which is only shown at the very end of the movie. He talks about him in the beginning of the movie, but it's only shown at the end of the movie. And these armors, just, I don't... When I saw that Hot Toys was going to be making a lot of these armors, I was like, oh wow, these guys must have a big part. If Hot Toys is going to make these guys and expect the fans to pay $200 to $300 a piece, they must have a nice part in this movie. And they just really don't. The armor that I was most looking forward to was the Red Snapper, which is the guy with the claws. And he is shown like one time in this entire movie, and in this movie, you know, Tony Stark's like, oh, the Red Snapper needs some help or something, and there's like a bunch of the Extremis guys on him, and he just runs right into the bridge and explodes. And I don't know, for a 2-second, you know, just really horrible look at this character, I'm supposed to spend $250 for a Hot Toys figure? I don't know. I was really let down because I thought that Hot Toys was making these guys so that they'd be actually in like the movie at all. Or Igor, which is the big blue robot that a lot of people are excited for. They're calling him the Hulk Buster and everything. In the trailer, we see him a bunch of times just smash through the one wall. He smashes through that wall, he goes, and then he gets under a bridge and lifts it up. That's it. He just gets under the bridge and kind of moves his shoulders up, and then he becomes a pillar, and we never see him again. So I mean, it was so poorly done. He does explode all the armors in the end of the movie. Tony Stark does, which, you know, I think it's a little waste. I mean, I don't know. In reality, you know, you could just donate those or make billions of dollars on them. But whatever. He blows them up, he makes a point that he's a changed man, which is kind of neat, and I like that. And then he has the surgery, so he removes the shrapnel from his heart, which, if he could have done this, why didn't he do this a long time ago? But not going to dwell on that. But he does that so that he no longer has the chest piece in it, so he really kind of leaves Iron Man behind. He is still Iron Man, but he kind of leaves it behind and becomes more of a Tony Stark and more of a responsible person rather than the egomaniac Iron Man. So it's an interesting way to end it. I think that it was a nice way to end it, though, because it kind of, you know, it's a little bit different from what we've seen before, which is cool. But I just don't think it's great. I felt like this was a poor representation of an Iron Man, Marvel, superhero movie, whatever you want to say. I really did not like this one. I see movies so many times, like over and over and over and over and over in the theaters. I wanted to see this like 8 or 9 times, which I usually do with these types of movies. I'd be surprised if I make it to the theater 3 times to see this, because I just really don't want to see it. It was goofy as hell. I don't know. The plot points, a lot of them I didn't like. Some of them I did like. And just overall it was pretty bad. And then, you know, waiting for the end credits scene, I thought, well, maybe in the end credits they'll set up another, you know, Marvel movie like Ant-Man or something that we were kind of expecting. I also heard talks of Radiation Man being a character introduced at the end credits scene. We get to the end credits scene and it's just more humor. He's talking to Bruce Banner. So, I mean, it was pretty bad when, like, during the movie, because, you know, this is all hardcore fans, so during the Avengers and Iron Man 2 and everybody was clapping throughout the movie, everybody was super excited. Before Iron Man 3 started, everybody was clapping. At the end, just everybody took a long time, and then a few people started clapping at the end, so I have to assume that the fans of this movie are really gonna not like it. The kids, they'll probably like it. I think that a lot of the humor will go over their heads, but I think that they'll kind of like the Extremis kind of guys, and they're like, you know, the fire guys that run around, so they'll probably like them. And I think that people that don't really know anything about the comics that are just going to this movie because it's, you know, it's a big deal, Iron Man 3, that just kind of want to see something funny, hey, it's good for them. But for any people that actually really like Iron Man, really like Marvel, really like superhero movies, there's a good ass chance that you're going to be disappointed like I was. Really, it was really not good in my opinion. Iron Patriot, nothing too bad about him. He really didn't do a whole lot, and I don't know. I don't really have much to say about that. I don't know, nothing too special with Iron Patriot. And War Machine wasn't in the movie at all. I mean, they mentioned War Machine, but it's just Iron Patriot in the movie, so I don't know why they're making so many War Machine toys. I have no idea why they're doing that, so yeah. A lengthy review. If somebody actually is still here watching it, I say thank you for listening, and I hope that you take my opinions for what they're worth. So there you go. So thanks for watching, and if you go see the movie, if you don't, hope you enjoy it, or hope that you're glad that you don't see it. So whatever you decide to do is good with me. Thanks for watching.